BBC Radio Oxford. Will Reynolds is with you from 6. Paul Miller and his team with you from 10 tonight at BBC Radio Oxford. It's approaching 20 to 5 now. Fly tipping. Not big, not clever, it's ugly, and it's something we hate to see. But are we about to start seeing less of it? Today, new measures have been proposed to tackle waste crimes, such as the illegal export of rubbish. The Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, wants an increased background check on companies which move or trade waste, as well as mandatory tracking of rubbish across the UK. Martin Montague owns ClearWaste. It's an app where you can report fly tipping that you see anywhere in the UK. So lots going on in this regard just at the moment. Martin, good evening to you. Thanks for coming on the programme.
Very good evening.
If any of our listeners want to dispose of household waste safely then, what are they required to do by law? How can they potentially get called out? How can you help?
Okay, by law, you need to check that the company or person you give that to is licensed on the Environment Agency database. Otherwise, you can get fined up to £5,000 and prosecuted. So the problem really does come back to bite you. We've got a very simple solution on the ClearWaste app with thousands of traders, and you can literally upload pictures and they'll give you the best price for it. And they're all background checked, vetted, and it's a price comparison service. So it might save you some time and money. It's a completely free service to try out as well. So that's a good piece of advice there.
Now, what about the sort of the blight on our landscape, particularly in rural areas, but it can happen anywhere where people just chuck the rubbish? What can we do to try and help that situation out?
Okay, now that's a really good question. Over 60% of all classified adverts are not licensed. So you really, really need to check who you give your waste to. That's critically important. I'm also asking the government to put licences displayed on vehicles that people collect waste in, the same as if you use a licensed taxi. So you'll know that they are legitimate and should be able to take your waste away, because at the moment it's just too easy to get caught.
Okay, so this is like Uber for your rubbish?
Essentially, I think that's where we need to get to, and then at least we can track these criminals around using ANPR and other stuff like that. The problem is, at the moment, research suggests that over 60% of everyone collecting waste at the moment isn't actually licensed. So digital tracking of waste, although is a great idea for those that are trying to act lawfully, it's this 60% we need to either remove their opportunities to get business or prevent them getting anything at all, you know.
So where we are with this, Martin, is we're in a situation where we've got to take responsibility for our own rubbish, effectively, and not just think out of sight, out of mind. We've passed it on to somebody else. It's not our problem anymore. Absolutely.
As consumers, we need to do that. Consumers really do need protecting, but the government just put some figures out. £1 billion a year approximately is being spent on waste crime. That's £1 billion a year that could go into schools, libraries and that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to help solve this problem. I'll do it on my hands and knees if I have to, but the tools are there to try and help people not to get caught.
So as general advice, what would you suggest to people if they're having a clear out? Because, you know, we've been in these periods of lockdown where people have sort of reassessed everything, what's important to them, what isn't at times. What would your advice be to people if they're in that situation and they've got a load of clutter they want gone?
Take it to the recycling centre locally, and if you can't do that and you want someone to collect it, please go on the DEFRA website as a bare minimum just to check their licence to protect yourself from fine and prosecution.
Okay, good to talk to you, Martin. Thank you very much indeed. Just think on then, if you're having a clear out and you might just get somebody to come and take it away, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all good. You need to double check that firm is doing what they say they're going to do, and they're licensed in the correct ways. Thank you very much indeed. It's BBC Radio Oxford, heading towards 4:45.